Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. We are taking a look today at an interesting rumor. We heard last week about Evgeni Malkin potentially being on the trade block, and the only team he would accept the trade to, the Florida Panthers. We're going to be taking a look at that in this video. If you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, you guys know what to do. Help us hit the road to 1K subscribers. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. And let's take a look at Evgeni Malkin potentially going to the Florida Panthers. Alright, so with that out of the way, guys, Evgeni Malkin has generated some interest. Over the last couple months, we've heard Evgeni Malkin trade rumors last summer, and we're hearing them again right now. So, let's take a look at a recent report from Josh Yeon. Josh Yeon, Evgeni Malkin is no longer an untouchable in Pittsburgh. If he were to be traded, may have interest in Florida. Lives there in the summer. So, that brings up the question, well, there's two Florida NHL teams, right? The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. And let's be honest, he's not going to Tampa. As much as that would be a crazy story, it's not going to happen. And the reason for that is, let's be honest, Tampa doesn't have the salary cap. They just don't have the money and the cap space to bring in Evgeni Malkin. As much as I'm sure they'd love to, as long as I'm sure, Malkin would love to go to the Tampa Bay Lightning. It doesn't work. So what's the other team? The Florida Panthers. And we know where they are right now. They're actually playing pretty well, and they have a little bit more cap space than Tampa Bay. I mean, the salary cap over the last 2 years in free agency has obviously changed things a little in Florida, but let's be honest, they are a serious contender for a guy like Evgeni Malkin. And you look at what Malkin's doing right now, his point production has slipped a little bit, let's be honest, over the last 2 years. But he still has 19 points in 25 games this season with Pittsburgh. Now, let's also remember the fact he is 34 years old. He's not a youngin' like he used to be back in the day. He's this crazy old Russian at the ripe old age of 34 years old. And the bigger thing is his cap hit. He's making $9.5 million per season for the next 2 years. So this year and next year. So in the summer of 2022, he will be a pending unrestricted free agent. Now, Pittsburgh may be looking at this as an opportunity that, hey, listen, we trade him now, he's going to have more value than as a rental at the ripe old age of 35 next offseason or next trade deadline. So if we trade him at this year's trade deadline, you have him for this year's playoff run as well as a Stanley Cup run next year. The Florida Panthers, who are in a midst of a playoff run potential right now, in a more than likely a playoff spot in the Central Division, they could go for Evgeni Malkin. Does it work? They could use some more scoring, and playing with Jonathan Huberdeau, Alexander Barkov, that sounds like money right now for the Florida Panthers. But then I was trying to think about, well, what's the package going to Pittsburgh? Because you have to think, even at 34 years old, even with 19 points in 25 games, and 2 years left on his contract at $9.5 million, Evgeni Malkin is going to command some price here from Ron Hextall and Brian Burke. And I would have to think you're starting off with the next 2 years of first-round picks right off the bat. So Evgeni Malkin, right, maybe some salary retained. You are giving up your first-round picks for 2021 and 2022 right off the bat. And then what's next? Because Pittsburgh is probably looking for a really good player back. Is that Huberdeau? Does Huberdeau get traded? I don't know if the Florida Panthers want to do that. So who else is there? Well, do you trade Keith Yandel? Do you trade Aaron Ekblad? Right? Are those guys you really want to move if you're Florida here? So now it comes down to guys, well, what about your first round pick last year? Is that going to generate interest? What about Owen Tippett? People think very highly of Owen Tippett. Is it 2 first round picks? Owen Tippett, Mackenzie Weegar, and someone else? But is that enough for Evgeni Malkin? I don't feel like that's even enough. Or at least for Pittsburgh to say yes. But here's the bigger question. I think that there's interest here. I think we could see something get done It's going to cost a lot for Florida, though. It's gonna take a chunk out of their prospect pool for Evgeni Malkin. And at 34 years old, is this something that Florida really wants to do? Now, there is the Russian connection, if you haven't seen already. You've got Sergei Bobrovsky and potentially Evgeni Malkin. So you have the Russian connection. And obviously they see themselves in a window to win right now in Florida because you have Keith Yandle, who's getting older by the day. He's just played in his 1,000th NHL game. You've got Sergei Bobrovsky, who signed that big contract, but let's be honest, that contract's going to get bought out at some point. Let's just be real. And the Florida Panthers are saying, hey, we have a chance to win right now. We like the way our division is this year. So we think we could bring home the bread. We think we could bring home the bacon this year and potentially win that Stanley Cup. And if they think of Evgeni Malkin, who wants to play in Florida, who is willing to come to Florida and want to win a championship, maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what we could see. And if you look at where the Florida Panthers are, you've got Alex Barkov and potentially Evgeni Malkin down the middle. Talk about a two-headed monster. Oh, that looks like a pretty sweet deal for potentially for the Florida Panthers. But like I said, the package is going to be immensely expensive. But here's the even bigger thing, because we've heard these rumors in the past. Sidney Crosby trade rumors. I haven't talked about it because I think it's a little bit illegitimate. But now we're hearing about Chris Letang. We've heard about, Evgeni Malkin. Are these rumors really starting to show that nobody in Pittsburgh is untouchable, with Brian Burke and Ron Hextall leading the way for the Pittsburgh Penguins? And with the lack of prospects in the prospect pool for Pittsburgh, maybe Pittsburgh's looking at, hey, you know what? We're in a spot now where we're in the East Division, even with Boston out of that division, with the Rangers on the rise, with New Jersey on the rise, with Philly, Washington, and the New York Islanders already bona fide playoff teams. It's going to be real hard, even going into next year, for a team like Pittsburgh to make the postseason. So does Pittsburgh say, we still can get value for Malkin, Crosby, Letang? Do we blow this thing up and say, listen, this may be the year? Because they've been saying all the right things. Mario Lemieux wants his team to win a championship. They've been, that's why they brought in Brian Burke and Ron Hextall. But at the end of the day, if Mario Lemieux maybe realizes, hey, we're not winning a championship, we're not one of the better teams even in our division, so winning a Stanley Cup, is it a legitimate thing for Pittsburgh? And maybe Pittsburgh doubles down and they say, what's the price tag for Barkov? Because we'll bring Alexander Barkov in. Maybe we'll look at Chicago. Do we bring in one of their top guys? So this is something that I think is going to be interesting. I want to see what Pittsburgh is really thinking, because we keep hearing all these weird rumors from people that Malkin's out, that Crosby could be out, Letang could be out. But the reason they brought in Brian Burke and Hextall is to win a cup right now. So where are the Pittsburgh Penguins? Are they still spinning around, still looking at the market? Or is this all trying to be on the low key? We want to win a cup, but we're still looking at what the offers from Malkin, Crosby, and Letang are. So, I don't know. I would love to see a Malkin trade to Florida. I think it would be interesting. It would definitely create some interest on my channel. It would be a great thumbnail of Evgeni Malkin to the Florida Panthers. But at the end of the day, looking at where Pittsburgh is, what value are you really going to get from Malkin? Is it worth just keeping him and you hang up 71 in the rafters in 3-4 years from now alongside 87? Or do you really look at it and say, listen, maybe it's time to make that trade? So guys, let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think there is a legitimate chance that we see the Pittsburgh Penguins trade Evgeni Malkin to the Florida Panthers? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.